Fabulous fabric from the land of the Five Rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
What's good? What's good? What's good? We back. We are back, man, for another edition of the 50 and 50 show with yours truly, myself, PharoahNFL, obviously the Severe Raider. Man, we got a lot to talk about, man, as usual, and we got a special guest backstage. We're not going to keep them waiting any longer. We appreciate everybody coming through. We see people in the chat. We see it going crazy, man. We see it going crazy, man. Man, we running late. I already know they clowning. I already know they clowning. Yeah, I already know they're clowning. But look, I'm not trying to have our guests waiting any longer. You guys already know him. He's a writer, contributor for Silver and Black Pride, host of A Little Pocket Awareness, and obviously y'all know him from the Tape Don't Lie, man. Tape Don't Lie, man. My guy Marcus, man, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's good, y'all? How you guys doing?
Good, bro. We gotta give you applause, man, for all the work that you do for pretty much for Raider Nation, man. Doing all that tape, that study, man. We are like big fans. Obviously, we watch your stuff as well as everybody else. But man, we got a lot to talk about with Raider Nation. Last time I think I spoke to you was last offseason, and at that time, man, we're trying to figure out who the quarterback of the Raiders are going to be for the future, and we're kind of still in the same. We're back to the same place. Like, we're looking for another quarterback again. I don't know, but let's actually talk about. I just want to get into and we'll get into the chat in a little bit, but let's get into what happened this season.
Okay.
What are your thoughts last season? obviously with McDaniels, were you surprised that like everything unfolded the way it did? Did you think that he was going to be the coach for, for however long he was going to be signed to that contract, or 2 years, 3 years, or or did you see it coming?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it coming from a little bit. I mean, it's just how he handled Waller, and even if you're not a fan of Derek Carr, I mean, how he handled Derek Carr a little bit. I think just how he handled those guys, he kind of just lost the locker room. You could tell the demeanor, and then the Josh Jacobs contract, and then all that stuff kind of just added up to onto the field, and it kind of just looked sloppy throughout the year. I mean, the team at the end of the season compared to how they started, you could totally tell that how sloppy they looked. It was just a totally different look, totally different type of team. So I think Josh has lost that team really early before the season even started. And his offense also was really predictable at that point. A lot of teams knew what they're going to do. They'll play all the inside routes. He was completely figured out. So it just wasn't a good look for him at all, in my opinion.
No, I have a question. Do you think he ran Yankee enough? If he'd ran Yankees a little bit more, would that have put him out of the hole?
I don't know, man. I mean, is that in Dagger, man? Dagger's his favorite one. He loves it. Yeah, he had like two. That's the thing. Third down, he had two concepts, and it was just you don't have Tom Brady just to save you, basically. Yeah. That's what Josh McDaniels was at. He was at that point. It just wasn't a good look for him at the end, man. It was ready for him. That Detroit game was super ugly. Going with Jimmy Garoppolo, putting all that weight into him, even when he had the injury, and then still signing him, even when he failed the physical, that was a bad sign in the first place. They should just let him go and kind of just ate it, and maybe just went into the draft and try to figure out how they could trade up to get somebody instead of trying to like force him to be the quarterback. Because I really feel like they thought he was going to take them to the future or some shit. So sorry if I cuss on there, but like
it's all
they thought yeah, my bad. But They thought he was going to take him to the future or whatever. So, it was bad from the beginning, man. Even Dave Ziegler to even back some of that and like not even try to be like, hey, if we have these injuries, how do we get out of this? Or should we just do something else and just go all in on Jimmy Garoppolo? Was just bad in the first place.
Yeah, and it was a surprising season. I didn't expect them to fire him that soon. I thought Mark Davis was going to allow him to play out that second year, and I was kind of surprised he did it early. And you can see the consequences of that too. And I don't know, some people might say like, oh, what are you talking about? We got AP as a head coach. I'm glad we got AP as a head coach, but if you think about it, let's say if we let McDaniels become, or let him play out that contract that second year, then we probably would have got like a top 5 draft pick. If you think about it, like let's be honest, we would have had a top 5, top 3 draft pick easy, no question about it, instead of number 13. And it's gonna be tough, but from what it sounds like the Raiders are gonna be pretty aggressive in getting that quarterback of the future. But just staying on the season, it was a surprise though. I mean, did you see this from Patrick Graham, this defense? I mean, I think that was probably the biggest surprise of the season.
I think a big part of the surprise was the growth of Malcolm Koonce. I think the growth of Malcolm Koonce really took that defense to another level, because just having those two pass rushers, having Crosby and having Koonce on both sides, you saw it in the Chiefs game, and they dominated that game. That was really both of them. I mean, there was one time where they both finished at the quarterback. You know what I mean? And Koonce had 52 pressures to end the year. So from week 9 to week 18, he had 52 pressures. So if you think about that, Crosby is 100 a year. Okay, so if you have Malcolm Koonce there too, that could be 200 pressures just from both of them if Koonce keeps on that trajectory that he's on. So I think his growth was big. I think you saw some better play from Jack Jones. I think Jack Jones is a playmaker, so he might get beat sometimes, and Raiders fans might not like that when we get a whole season from him, because we haven't got a whole season from him yet. So when we get a whole season from him, he's going to make a lot of plays, but he'll get beat, and I think he's going to make up for that a little bit. I still think they got to get somebody else outside to match with him. And we'll see what they do in free agency or the draft with that. But, the defense is really good. I think the safeties are set. I think Morag and Epps are super solid. You ain't really got to mess with them. I think they played solid all year. I think linebacker, you could maybe upgrade in the draft, maybe find some replacements, because Spillane's has 1 year left. You don't know about Diablo, so maybe they look there in the draft, like 3rd, 4th round, to see if they can find some linebackers there. But I think when you have Koonce and Crosby, and if Koonce can keep going like this, and I know you can move Tyree Wilson inside and hopefully Tyree Wilson takes the next step. I talk about Jermaine Johnson a lot because they kind of have the same kind of skill set a little bit coming out. Jermaine Johnson from Florida State, if you're familiar with him, when he came out, he plays for the Jets. He was really bad his first year. All right. And this past year, he was a monster, and they moved him inside a lot more, and he was a monster pass rusher inside. And I hope that's what Tyree Wilson can go. So if they can get that pass rush going, man, I think the defense will keep going like it did. But I think Kuntz taking that leap was a big deal, and was a lot of the reason the defense took a big leap.
So pretty much, you're probably going to be all for the Raiders maybe starting the contract negotiations now rather than later, because we all know what that pass rusher market looks like when they hit free agency. It's going to be crazy. And now that you know that you got someone as talented as Kuntz, do you think a guy like Telesco makes that move? I mean, does he lean on maybe a Champ Kelly that probably knows Kuntz a little bit? He knows the roster a little bit, and then he kind of gives that contract extension? Or is it going to be a classic case of new guys come in and they're going to want their guys?
I think with Kuntz, they're going to try to see if he's a one-year wonder or not. They're probably going to play a little bit into the season. Hopefully, if he keeps going, they extend him early in the season, which they can do, because he's not a guy that they can, it's like a franchise tag thing where they have to stop in negotiating contracts. Hopefully, they extend him during the season, just so, they probably want to get a feel of how he's going to play, because, it was a 1 year thing. It was like a first 9 weeks. We'll see how it keeps continuing. But I still think that he's going to take that route. And when you get to like mid-season, maybe like how they did with Darren Waller. With Darren Waller, he had those little flashes that year, and then we went into 2019, and he was having a great season, and they signed him mid-season and got him for pretty cheap. So I think they could do the same thing with Malcolm Kuntz, and I hope that's the way that they're looking at it.
Yeah, man. I hope so too, man. But there's always, this happens all the time. A new regime comes in and they make some moves where you're like, man, I wish they could have kept that guy. But it was, obviously when McDaniels came in, he let some guys go that a lot of Raider Nation probably thought maybe we should have kept them a little bit. But that didn't happen. I mean, Telesco is coming into a situation. I think I think it might be different because the fact that there's going to be like AP and maybe a Champ Kelly for him to talk to and kind of use his sounding board and ask him questions about the roster and see who guys that they should keep. But moving on from obviously the season, it's over now. We're officially in the off season. Who do you think? What do you? Let's actually not even go that far. Let's talk about AP, man. What do you think AP? What do you think of AP as a head coach?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a pretty damn good head coach. I just like how he's very self-aware. He's getting a lot of help from the outside, and bringing in Marvin Lewis to those guys and kind of guiding him, because he really doesn't have a lot of coaching experience, to be honest. Especially only with 4 years in college, 2 years in the NFL. Not really a lot of coaching experience. So for him to have that self-awareness to be like, I need help, I think is a big deal for me too. And I think the way he connects with the team and connects with players, and I think what connects with the NFL player too, I think that's why I feel like the Raiders might have a good free agency, because I think that what he has players will gravitate to him. Because I'm from Arizona, so he was at ASU here, and he got Jayden Daniels here, who Jayden Daniels is a big guy right now, Heisman Trophy. He got him to come to ASU. You got Jack Jones, found him, in that transfer portal, got Jack Jones to go there, Brandon Aiyuk. Frank Darby, maybe didn't play that well in the NFL, but he got drafted. A lot of guys out of there, a lot of players that came from ASU and went into the league, and a lot of those were his recruits, and it weren't the normal players that the ASU would get at that point in time. So, he has that ability to have players come here, and I think Mark Davis, what he does with the facility, is going to be a great sell to players that have AP and the facility and the food and all that stuff that goes around with it. They're going to be able to bring some players in here that might surprise us. So I'm excited for that. But I think that he just his self-awareness and everything he does with his team, I think there's a good element to it. And we'll see them play hard all the time, at least.
I mean, and we'll get into it later in the show. But yeah, man, the league feels a whole lot differently than Raider Nation. I'll say that. Sure.
Yeah, I
know. But yeah, I'm definitely excited about Antonio Pierce being the head coach. I think he did a pretty solid job. it is a risk factor when you have a coach like that doesn't have whole lot of experience, but I don't know if it's a trend, but I feel like there's a whole lot of former linebackers, former players, head coaches getting hired right now. So AP is part of that trend. So hopefully it works out for the Raiders. But now he's in the process, or kind of almost done with hiring his coaching staff. Mm-hmm. What do you think is with some of the hires? Recently, they hired their O-line coach, James Craig, and then you got the QB coach, Rich Scangarello, and then the Fred Walker was given I think he was with the Raiders, but then they gave him a kind of a higher position, assistant QB coach, from what I'm hearing. What do you think of some of these?
Cardinal Williams too.
There you go, man. Another former player on the staff. Yeah, man. So what do you think of the staff? Because especially with a head coach like AP, where he doesn't really kind of fit on, he was never a defensive coordinator. He's not an offensive-minded coach. He's a guy that you would think that would need a strong staff. So far, do you like what you're seeing with some of these hires?
Yeah, it's a little up and down, just from an excitement standpoint, especially with, the hire Luke Getsy, what they did with Justin Fields and how that offense was not very efficient. It doesn't, give you a lot of optimism with him when he comes over here. But when I watch the film, I do like how he attacks defenses, and there's a lot of things that he could do really well. And, he has a great vertical passing game where he can throw downfield, and hopefully they can get Trey Tucker going. And I think they're going to have to get faster for his offense. Keeping Patrick Graham was a big deal. I think Patrick Graham is a great defensive coordinator, and he's been doing this for years. He exposed Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has never been the same since 2020 when he played the Giants. So he's never been the same guy. So Patrick Graham is legit. He's always been legit. The QB coach hire, as long as if the Raiders are good and because the Raiders have a great offense, Luke Getsy's get a job, right? Because he was already getting offensive coordinators and he had a bad offense, so obviously the league is already on him. They're like, oh, you're such a great guy or whatever. I don't know, whatever he's doing with the league, they like him because he was getting off. He got 4 interviews. It wasn't just the Raiders. So
it was a whole lot of interviews. I noticed that. And
so everybody on this chat knows I am a card carrying member, not a card carrying member. I am the president of the Justin Fields is no good fan club, and I think
Marcus might be a member too.
It's a thing, bro. It's a thing. We have meetings, and I actually clipped up some of your sound and sent to Pharaoh, where you're like, yo, man, he tried everything. Justin Fields is Justin Fields. And I was like, thank you. That's what I'm talking about. Justin, you can't. So I was it a situation with Luke Getsy? Because that was I think that was a hire that after coming off Cliff Kingsbury, who was a guy I advocated for, a guy I really wanted. And then it was kind of, underwhelming when we hired Luke Getsy. But, I was telling people, we can't look at what he did with Chicago, because Justin Fields is such a flawed player that it's really unfair to look at him like that. And the fact that he got these 4 interviews and he's well respected around the league, that tells you that obviously the league thinks but Justin Fields just not a good quarterback.
Yeah, with Fields, it's more about he's just so one-dimensional as a passer at this point. I mean, he could throw deep. I mean, that's really what he does. He has a great. He throws the ball past 20 yards really well. It's just there's more to the NFL than that. And it's not Ohio State where you can just run the ball, throw 40 yards, and win games. It's not going to happen. Your completion percentage is going to be low. You're not going to be able to move the ball efficiently. And I think that's what when you worry about Luke Getsy, though, is when he was at Mississippi State, they had the same complaint that he threw deep too much. And I think that's my thing with him is does he really have a short passing game? His short passing game is really basic. It's slant flat, sticks, slant flat. It's not really that creative with his short passing game. And, I see a lot of people talk about how they want a quick passing game with him, and maybe they want to try to do that, and maybe they want to mix it up. But, he did come up under Nathaniel Hackett with the short passing game. And, I'm not a big fan of Hackett's movements there. So and I know Matt LaFleur is there too, but LaFleur kind of mixed everything up. There's a lot of guys to Tom Clements is the run game, the red zone coordinator. He kind of delegated everything and he just calls the plays. So it'll be interesting to see how his short passing game evolves. But I mean, his deep passing game is pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie. He knows how to. If Raiders can find some speed, and I was watching Baker Mayfield today. I was like, man, maybe if Mike Evans, I mean, he got some cap space, if they can get down the field, man. With Getsy, my issue with him through the air, like running the ball, is going to be good, especially if they get an athletic quarterback. They'll be able to get his whole running game going. But it's more about the efficient part of passing with him.
Yeah, and my thing with Fields, because I'm gonna play devil's advocate, is the fact that they do have a guy. I think Chicago Bears, they do have a guy that's pretty athletic, knows how to use legs. I just didn't see Getsy, and it's from what it sounds like you have mixed feelings about like Getsy. Like there's certain things that you like about him, but then there's certain things where you're kind of like, I don't know. And we're hoping that it was Justin Fields. We're hoping that Justin Fields was just that bad of a quarterback, and Getsy's a pretty good offensive-minded coach, and he could come in here and develop a young QB. But I mean, with Fields, I feel like he just doesn't. I don't know if he's had a chance to really develop under an offense. He's had what 3 offensive coordinators in how many years that he's been a QB? So I just feel like we've seen that time and time again. Every time we've seen a quarterback go through so many different
Justin
offensive
Fields
coordinators.
has gotten 3 offensive coordinators fired. Is what you're telling me? You're telling me Justin Fields he's got 3 offensive coordinators. This dude is. The unemployment line is filled with people that tried to make Justin Fields work in the NFL. That's what you're telling me right now.
All right, man. All right. Okay, man. I'm not gonna argue with you guys. I'm not even hoping for Justin Fields to come over here. I'm just gonna play the other side, is because look, so would you be mad if the Raiders traded for Fields and they got him for like a 4th round pick?
I wouldn't be mad about it. I wouldn't be mad because I still think that Luke Getsy at the end of the season really did find a way to make it work. They went on a little bit of a run at the end of the year. They beat the Lions, you know what I'm saying? And even though he wasn't the most efficient through the air passing, I think Getsy has a good enough run game that, and adding him into it and making teams play 11 on 11, it just opened things up. Like versus the Cardinals, man, Fields had the Cardinals so worried that Khalil Herbert was just running through these big old open holes, and it was just him just running all over the Cardinals. So I think Fields does bring that element. He's going to uplift your run game. It's just more about the passing game with him. It's because to be honest, his biggest problem is his windup. So he has this long windup when he throws, and that's why he can't get the short passing game going. So and that's really a kind of the reason why that he's really limited in the NFL. But you can win with him if he keeps it going. You get the deep passing game going, you keep the running game going. You got to play great defense though. So because he's not going to be able to. Let's say you get down, he's not bringing you back through the air. Let's just say that.
Man, and I think with Getsy getting hired, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I think they're probably going to go and get their guy at QB. But and you can see Severe right now getting excited of me saying that right now.
The Raiders saw all the fan interest in Justin Fields. It's like, who can we hire that will dampen this fan? Like, we'll get the guy that just.
Hey, appreciate the. Shout out to Space Beast. Appreciate the super chat. He says, "Who's more severe or Marcus, man?" But I guess I don't know. Maybe he's seen this coming. He's seen y'all. Hey, but you know what? They keep it real. They keep it real at the end of the day. That's all that matters. But yeah, like so you're pretty good with the staff. You like what you see from the staff, from some of the guys. Maybe a mix.
Yeah.
Feelings with some guys. You're not too sure. Like the QB coach, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. His background is kind of shaky.
Yeah, because as long as he doesn't call plays, we're okay. As long as he doesn't call plays. Ever.
Man, yeah, exactly. The best thing about his background, the fact that I think he was with the 49ers back in 2021 as a QB coach, but they fired him after one season as an OC for I think he was the OC for Kentucky.
Yeah,
Kentucky. Yeah.
Coming off.
Yeah,
coming off. Will Levis had a down year.
Had a down year under him. It was just like,
they got him out of there. Like, get you up out of here immediately.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. As long as he doesn't call plays, that's what I'm saying. Like, hopefully Luke Getsy doesn't. Like I said, he doesn't get a job somewhere and they give him a promotion. Hopefully that never happens. and we're good. He's okay, I guess. He's a quarterback coach. Stay there. That's all I say.
Yeah, and since we're speaking about quarterbacks, man, okay. You're the quarterback guy, man. Tape don't lie, man. So, and a guy that you've talked about and the league is talking about that they're higher on is JJ McCarthy.
Okay.
Do you feel like the Raiders can possibly draft a JJ McCarthy? Would it be a good spot for him to come to the Raiders? Do you think that could happen?
Yeah, I think JJ would be a good fit just because you have Aiden O'Connell, just in case he's not ready to play, and you could let him develop a little bit, and if the Raiders kind of go that route with him, because he's 20 years old right now. He's not 21 yet. He'll be 21 during the season starts, but right now he's 20 years old. He is a young guy. He's won as soon as they got into Michigan. Michigan wasn't winning national championships. Michigan wasn't really in the playoffs that much. JJ McCarthy becomes a quarterback. They go in there. He's a tough guy. There's a lot to him. Just for me, you're showing his one deep pass that he probably has on film. This is it. This is his one throw downfield. This is it right here. I mean, it's a great throw, but there's not a lot of this on film, and the other throws aren't that great. So that's my thing with JJ. Is it Jim Harbaugh coaching him to throw short and play small and play within the offense? He's going to do that, but I'm a little scared that if it's not like defined read stuff, he's not going to be consistently trying to throw downfield with his big arm, which is weird. But the thing is, he's a great fit for the offense, what Luke Getsy likes to do, because you can get him in the run game. He can do all those things. He can do QB powers. He can do QB counters. He can do zone read. That's the thing that you can add into him. So his legs are a big part of it. And he's really good in the play action game. He understands that. He can get rid of the ball. He's a good release. Very big arm. It's just, with a big arm like that, I would like to see some 50-yard moonshots, especially when you have Roman Wilson as your wide receiver. You know what I mean? And then Roman Wilson is just running downfield, and he's just like throwing to the tight end. At 5 yards. So that's my issue with him. But
and I've heard you, and you're pretty hard on Jim Harbaugh. Like you're like, if Jim Harbaugh comes to the Raiders, he better. Who's the OC? And we know who the OC is going to be with the Chargers. Greg Roman's coming back to the NFL, and maybe it's coaching. Maybe a guy like McCarthy needs a more, I guess, a dynamic offensive coordinator to open up the offense and use his arm. Because I seen a play where I think it was a long touchdown by the running back for Michigan. And you see JJ McCarthy outrun the running back and throw a block. I'm like, and I'll try to find the play. I'm like, wow, he's crazy athletic, and it sneaks up on you because you don't expect it. To be honest with you,
he's a dog too, man. And outside the pocket, he's crazy outside the pocket. He gets out of there, man. He can see the whole field. He's really special there. So that's the thing. Like inside the pocket and throwing deep, it's weird. He doesn't do it, but he gets outside the pocket. He is just a maniac, and he's throwing across his body. He's throwing 40 yards downfield just on the strikes. It's kind of crazy how when he gets out of the pocket, he's a totally different type of quarterback. He's a little bit of a playmaker, so he can make some plays, man. He can make some plays. Especially
this throw right here, man. This one's crazy.
This throw always cracks me up because this safety. I always feel like he could have picked this, but
bro, where was dude running? He's like, I see you winding up, about to throw in my direction. Let me turn around. What? Bro, I know in film study, I know the coach was like in his butt, like in film study, like, bro, what were you doing? What were you thinking? What was the thought process here, sir?
I think JJ, if you see his eyes real quick, JJ, he used his eyes to kind of make the guy think he's going to throw over his head, maybe a little bit. You can see it, but still to me, you're still looking right at him, bro. Pick that
directly at him.
NFL, they picked that off. That's the thing in this
bro.
This play
it's done. So that's one of the things I wonder about JJ McCarthy, just in terms of sometimes his decision making is poor. He trusts his arm a little bit too much. His instincts are spotty. He's prone to have some bad turnovers. So I always questioned whether or not, Jim Harbaugh in that offense was protecting JJ McCarthy from himself sometimes. Where was a situation where, like, look, we're not going to really put the ball in your hands unless there's a situation where we absolutely have to. Like, it's run. All right, third down, JJ McCarthy, make a play because we need you right now. And that's what it seemed like. So I don't know if it's a situation where, like, and Jim Harbaugh, he's an NFL coach. So he wouldn't have firsthand knowledge like, yo, this guy can carry an offense or this guy can't. And I think it was a situation where I don't know if he had the ability to carry an offense.
Yeah, I don't know if he can though, but he has the upside because he has the arm, he has the legs, and he has the size. I mean, he is kind of slimmer, but he's 6'3" and above, and he's just a tough dude. I mean, and I think there's a lot to him. You better taste the Bob Marley. He does all these weird stuff. So there's right. So there's a lot more to him than just like the way he plays. And sometimes you can kind of bet on that toughness when you have that upside, and maybe there is something there. And he's so young. That's the thing. Like he's only 20 years old, right? So there's a lot of upside, and you can see where he goes. Maybe he gets way better by the time he's 27. Maybe he's just legit. He's controlled. He's got everything going, and he's running an offense, and he's leading the offense. So that's what you are going to be betting on with McCarthy. It's that a little bit of what you're saying is it Harbaugh holding him back, or is it Harbaugh coaching him to just play through the offense and making sure that he doesn't go deep and doesn't make a mistake and just throws little check downs, down the field. Because he only threw like 4 interceptions because he rarely threw into traffic or anything like that. So, but my thing with McCarthy is, the Alabama game, his biggest throw of the game, Roman Wilson actually saved him from giving up that whole game, from them being not national championships, because he made like the most tiptoe, crazy extended catch right there. And it was about to be picked. You know what I mean? So that's really JJ. We might be looking at him totally different if Roman Wilson doesn't make that catch in the first place.
So the thing about JJ McCarthy and his stock right now, this is not an apples to apples comparison, just because in terms of talent, they're in completely different stratosphere. But remember Ryan Nassib, older brother of Carl Nassib, by the way. Remember he was a guy that was like, oh my God, like Ryan Nassib could go top 5, like Ryan Nassib, and then like what do you go, like second, third round that year? He's just getting all this hype. And same thing, like kind of like Will Levis last year, right? Oh, is Will Levis gonna be the number 1 overall pick? Will Levis thinks so, and then it's like and then Will Levis what was it, second rounder? So it's like I think it's he's getting a lot of hype, and this is like this is the time of the year where it's a whole bunch of subterfuge. Teams is trying to put stuff out there like, oh, agents, oh man, JJ McCarthy, he's number two quarterback on some teams' boards, and it's like and then teams get to panic like, oh well, damn, let me study this film. What are we missing on JJ McCarthy? Oh, we better grab him. We got to move back into the back end of the first round and take him because he might be, and then it ends up like he probably not going to be top 10. Quarterback.
Yeah, I would say the difference between JJ and those guys is JJ won the national championship, and he has like that huge winning record. And there's always some NFL guy who's like, he's a winner. So I think that's a big part of it too. He's a winner. You know what I mean?
Nah, and so do you? So I know it's smoke season. But the Twitter streets, man, they were over here talking about McCarthy possibly being a guy that might go higher than expected. Do you believe that? Do you feel like he's going to go in the top 10, top 15, or do you think he's more of a top 20 guy, or do you think that he's probably going to be the 4th quarterback taken, possibly taken in the top 10?
I mean, I think he should be the 4th quarterback taken, but I think at the combine, it's going to be a big deal. I think the combine is going to be a big deal for all these quarterbacks, because especially Maye, Daniels, and him. I think Maye is the kind of the guy that might fall to 4 with NFL teams. So Twitter loves him. ESPN analytical people love him because they see these. He has some of the most incredible throws you'll see on film. But if you're a nuanced film guy, there's some things that you just see that like you're like, I don't know about that. So I think the NFL, that's why you hear the buzz of Daniels hopping over him already. I think that's part of it, but I think there's a chance if he doesn't have a good interviews at the combine and kind of doesn't show what he is, because he's like a rich kid too. He's worth like his dad's worth like $25 million. There's a lot of other things to him, right? Right, and
It's always
he's a little
concerning.
soft in the pocket. He's a little soft in the pocket. That's what I would say. He's a little soft there, and you see videos of him on Twitter like running a wave, and it's more of him being scared because you watch him versus Clemson, man. They hit him early, and he just was rattled, and there's a lot of that with him. So the combine's going to kind of even these guys out. I think Daniels has a chance because he's going to be the older guy. He's going to be the maturest one. I think he has a chance to, if the Raiders really want him, they're going to have to keep the Commanders from taking him, and that's going to be a bigger issue for them too. Because I think he's going to come in there with the mature guy with the most head on his shoulders coming off the Heisman. And then you have Drake Maye, who's the young guy. And then you also have J.J. McCarthy, who has the national championship over Drake Maye, who didn't do anything in the ACC, supposedly being the best quarterback. So it's going to be those three guys. We'll see how they go. It might not go how we think it is.
So that's a question I have, because when you look at Cliff Kingsbury, I think people hear air raid and they think it's like bombs away. But it's like being a guy that I watched Mike Leach his whole career, and Cliff Kingsbury is like basically a Mike Leach disciple. It's not like a whole bunch of like deep throws. It's like it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. Like they're going to march up and down the field. They're going to dot you up, and they basically just supplement the pass with the run. But then you have a guy like Luke Getsy, who you've already talked about. You know what? This guy has some very cool vertical stuff that he's doing. You look at Jayden Daniels last year. When you look at passes over 20 yards, like his efficiency is off the charts. Like 60-some completion percentage, the most touchdowns, like the highest QBR, like all this stuff over 20 yards. So you look at it like a guy like Luke Getsy, like Jayden Daniels, and he's a mobile guy who can do some crazy stuff, in the run game, and you have to account for him. So that opens up the field. So it's like Jayden Daniels fits Luke Getsy like perfectly. I don't know if he fits Cliff Kingsbury as good, especially with the thing about him is like oh, he doesn't really throw over the field, and that's like what, even though I think that's kind of overblown. I think they're just trying to find a flaw, but that's kind of the narrative that's out there. It's like, oh, over the middle of the field, Jayden Daniels, he's not that great.
Yeah, I think that's weird too. I thought that on film, I really feel like Daniels could throw to every level of the field. And the thing is, I thought Daniels could have fit Cliff because he actually is really good in the short game. I think he has a quick release. He's decisive there. On a lot of the short routes that LSU did, he was really quick and got the ball out. And I think that's something that he can even get with Getsy. If Getsy brings him in, Getsy can actually use every level of the field when you have Jayden Daniels, because Jayden Daniels can use intermediate. He can throw deep, especially. I mean, his deep balls, it is things of beauty, man. Some of his throws that he was having this past year were crazy. And, even the ones he had at ASU, I mean, the one he had to Brandon Aiyuk versus Oregon and knock Oregon from, having a chance to make the playoffs that year when they had Justin Herbert and they were like 10-1 and they went to go play ASU. He had the prettiest throw to Brandon Aiyuk to kind of win that game. And you could see that consistently. He just got better from the pocket. He's a mature guy. He anticipates. There's really not a lot of bad things Jayden Daniels does. You just got to deal with him having a lot of sacks. And, when you have playmaking quarterbacks, that really doesn't bother me as much when you kind of watch as much film, because that's what they do. I mean, if you don't be mad the guy runs 50 yards, right? You'd be happy about that. You have to deal with the sacks on the back end. And that's just really, it's true.
Watch the Florida game, man. Watch the Florida game. If you guys it's like, that's what you can get.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You're going to get some sacks. He's going to take some sacks that maybe he shouldn't. But also, you're going to have those explosive plays when he breaks maybe a few of those tackles and he's just going. So he's just dynamic. And it's not that – I don't think he's Caleb Williams, because I think Caleb Williams is actually a different stratosphere than a lot of these guys. But I think he's going to be a really good NFL player, though, Jayden Daniels, for sure.
Hey, and that's a good segue. We'll get into Jayden Daniels in just a second. But I just wanted to touch on what you said earlier about Drake Maye. And I thought that was like an interesting criticism. You said that he wasn't tough in the pocket. And I remember you said in the past that guys that didn't really have pocket awareness, it's either you got it or you don't. And do you think that a guy like Drake Maye or just any quarterback where the question about them is their toughness, do you think they can ever overcome that? Are there examples of quarterbacks overcoming that?
No, I mean, Derek Carr, man. I mean, he might be fringe top 10, right? I mean, yeah, but is he ever going to be top 5? I mean, I'm being serious.
Nah,
I mean,
man,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man.
To be honest, that's when I watched Drake Maye, and I even told Matt Holder this. I even sent him a video. I'm like, who does this look like?
Oh my god!
Because Drake Maye be having the happy feet. So I tell you, I don't know why people just ignore this when they watch Drake Maye. Yes, I mean, go watch the Clemson game. Just watch it. The happy feet. He gets hit early in that game. He's like 16 for 36. It is there. Like, there's happy feet. There's inaccurate throws. Him feeling pressure. Georgia Tech. He has like 7 of the most incredible throws you'll see, and then he has the ugliest intentional grounding because he doesn't want to be hit. And that's my thing. Like, okay, like, sure, are you gonna make some crazy throws, and we're gonna see all these Twitter film analysts, even when he's in the NFL, just overhype him because he can make those crazy throws, and we're gonna see them when he has clean pockets and maybe he gets out of the pocket or whatever. But it's to the point where, like, if you aren't tough though in the NFL, let's keep it real. If you aren't you got to be able to take that smash hit in the face, throw it under pressure, and while you get smashed. You see all the great quarterbacks do it. You know, you see Josh Allen do it. You'll see Patrick Mahomes. They'll take that big hit. Patrick Mahomes takes some big hits in the pocket and throw a laser right to Rashid Rice's hands. So those are those type of things in the NFL. That's what is different from college to the NFL to me is, you know, the toughness in the pocket. And it is important because the offensive line are not good right now. You got to have a guy who can move. Okay. I'm not going to say that. But still, at the end of the day, you have to have a guy who could stand in there and is has no fear at all and could take a hit and drive that ball. And I don't know if Drake Maye is that guy. That's my thing, you know. But that's why I like JJ, because JJ will do that. JJ will stand in there and he'll see a blitzer coming right at him, and he's going to throw that dig and get smashed. And
that's a good point, man. That's a good point, because that's what kind of stopped Carr from ever being great. There may be points at times where you could be like, oh man, he looks pretty good. He great at times, but then he can never get over to that next level because, like you said, like that toughness factor. People had questioned. I mean, you got players calling him out, like literally saying it to his face in press conferences, like Joey Bosa literally calling him soft. Like,
I mean, it hit him. Now go ahead, man.
His own teammate Khalil Mack just laughing while Joey Bosa's joking. I think I forgot what it was, but it's some clip.
Because they know he's soft, man. Yeah, they know. Yeah. It's the difference between Drake Maye and Carr, though. Is Carr will check it down. Drake Maye will just run into a sack. He'll just like run out of fear.
Yeah, man. But people see Drake Maye and they see 6'4", 230 with the cannon, and you're like, oh, we can do it. It's like we can do something with it. It's like Gruden and, you know, what's old boy that threw like 8 interceptions in the game. He's like, man, but this guy's rocket. Like, yes, man. It's like, yes. It's like, but this guy has a cannon. He's 6'4", 230. Like, man, you know, they think he's going to be Justin Herbert or Josh Allen, and I personally don't see it.
Yeah. To me, it's just where his ceiling is. Like, do I really see him being a fully top 10 guy? And I don't know. Not without like a great offense. Not without like the top 5 offensive line in the NFL where he's comfortable. And because he has a first-round wide receiver. That's the thing in secret. People don't talk about it a lot. I forgot the guy's name right now, but he's
Walker?
Really ranked really high. Yeah, exactly.
That is a beast.
Exactly. And Drake Maye didn't do a lot with him, right? You know, and you know, because Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas are for the LSU. They're both first-round picks, and you see what Jayden Daniels did with those guys, right?
Exactly.
So,
and Brian Thomas wasn't really on the radar last year as a first-round pick, right? And this year, you know, along with the development of Jayden Daniels, he's now considered a first-round pick, or at least a fringe first-round.
Yeah. He's ranked really high for a lot of draft boards, but yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You have those type of players, you should be balling like that, especially in the ACC. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get to the chat, man. I appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you have to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we're gonna hit up the chat right now. Safe Belair says, Marcus, do you think there's a realistic chance the Raiders mortgage their future for a QB in the draft? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I do. I think there's. We're gonna hear more about it. More about it in a week when the combine starts, and the drinks start flowing, people start talking. So we're gonna be hearing a little bit what their plans are, what they're trying to do. I did think it was a little interesting. Jeremy Fowler said today that the Raiders do feel comfortable with Aiden O'Connell, but they plan on adding somebody. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're digging more into tape and they're trying to decide if they want to do with Aiden, but I do feel like there's a chance. There's a chance if they got the right deal, they're gonna move up. I would like them to wait till draft night, but it might not work out that way, especially with the Falcons and Vikings in front of you. You gotta you might have to hop them right now. So it's just so much they're gonna have to give up. That's the thing. They're gonna have to give up like 3 first-round picks. And the Raiders fans have to be prepared for that. That's the thing. You have to be prepared for them to give up like 3 first-round picks and like a third this year. You have to. They really do have to mortgage the future for that guy. And then we have to hope that guy, is that guy. Because if it's Jayden Daniels, the only thing I worry about Jayden Daniels is him getting hurt. So we draft him and he's injured.
Not to cut you off, because we don't take too much of your time, man. But we got a clip of that you posted on Twitter of Jayden Daniels and one of the plays that he made in the end zone. We're gonna play that right here. If you want to break down this play real quick.
Yeah, I mean, so this is basically a quick fade, but this is really more about the throw that you see from him. This is what he's really special with, is these deep passes, because you see the placement of this throw is so perfect, where it's back shoulder right there, perfectly placed. And you just imagine Devontae Adams with that. You know what I mean? Like, because he's beat, Devontae Adams is going to read that ball the same way, and he's going to hit those fade routes all day with him. And especially in the red zone, he is just so accurate on all these throws. He literally does the same exact throw to Malik Neighbors in this game. The same exact throw, same exact placement, same fade. And Malik Neighbors does the same exact catch that this guy does, right? So it wasn't just a one-time thing. This is a constant with this type of accuracy, man. It's pretty special. It really is. And that's one thing I like about him a lot, is that I know that he's going to come out, we're going to be able to throw the ball downfield, and he's going to be willing to do it. He's not going to be scared to do it, and he could throw it at every level. And that's what I really like about him. And it plus the running ability is crazy. It is nuts. It is damn special. It's kind of Lamar Jackson-ish. I don't want to go there, but a little bit, you know what I mean? But it reminds you of that, because he literally could take, he literally could take the ball, look through the field and like, okay, I'm gonna score a touchdown, and just go 60, break 3 tackles. It's nuts. And, it is not just one time. I mean, the Florida run is crazy. I would just, don't post that because they'll flag the channel. Don't post that Florida one. But
he had 2 in that game.
Yeah. I know he had 2.
Ran like a. He had 2. He had an 85, ran like a 50-something.
Yeah, like, the 85-year was crazy too, man. He just took that ball and just was gone. But the one in Missouri, the one versus Missouri is the crazy one, because it's just so unexpected. You just see him just start running. It looks like he's not going to get like that far. Then all of a sudden he just goes to the right, and then he just turns upfield really quick and he scores, breaks 3 tackles. It is crazy what he can do with the ball in his hand. But he just doesn't slide right now, and that's my thing with that slim frame. You just don't want him to. You want him to be healthy, because he does miss a lot of snaps. If you're watching his film, every once in a while you see 13 in there for like 4 plays, and it's after he takes a big hit running the football. So, it is one of those things. The guys could be bigger, they're gonna be faster. You know what I mean? They're not going to be, even though SEC has some great players.
He's doing this in the SEC. Like, he's coming from like the Big 12 or something. I'm like, all right, but he coming from the SEC. Like,
I know, but it's still, you know what I mean? It's still gonna be a little bit different. You know what I mean? So, that's the only my really concern with him, is just him getting injured.
And most likely, just to piggyback off someone in the chat asking about if the Raiders are going to be trading up, this is going to be the guy that they're going to be most likely trading up for. From what it sounds like, it just makes too much sense. AP can't even help himself. Like, he just mentioning Jayden Daniels' name, every chance he gets.
I
Jayden
don't let the
Daniels-
whole league know, man. I'm like,
Man,
bro,
come
relax.
on, man. This is your guy.
man.
Just come on, man. But then
They're gonna take all our draft picks if you just keep telling them like, oh,
Man.
you want Jay Daniels, give me 4. You know what I mean? Like you got to be quiet with it. You know what I mean? So,
right. And you know, this is actually a segment that we do is what's real, what's not. We just say a statement and we react to if it's real or not. And one of the statements that we're going to be doing or talking about, might as well just talk about it right now, is the Raiders' #1 target at QB is Caleb Williams. With Cliff Kingsbury, you know, hiring or unofficial hiring, and you know he obviously went to the Commanders, and then the QB coach kind of being connected to Caleb Williams. Do you think that there might be something there, or that's just all smoke? They just went after their guys. They got their guys. It has nothing to do with Caleb Williams. You think there is a possibility that the Raiders are targeting Caleb Williams or trying to get get Williams in the draft?
I mean, I would. So I would hope so.
That Oklahoma game, oh my! I was just looking at it. I'm like, this dude just came off the bench and just
yeah, man.
Who was the quarterback?
Special,
Who's the quarterback? Like that dude was supposed to be the
Spencer
guy.
Rattler?
And he just ever since then just. Man, he's probably, I don't know, man. Someone got to check on that guy right now. He's going to be a third-round pick. I think he's probably projected to go in the third round, I believe. And you were out there, too. You were out there in the Senior Bowl, so you were – I think he was probably – would you say he was one of the best quarterbacks out there?
I would say he was the best one, to be honest.
Best one.
He was the best quarterback out there, yeah. You know, I don't know if he'll hop over Nix or anything like that, but, I mean, maybe Penix. He might go before Penix. I think Penix is a man. Like, you know, a lot of fans like him because of that. But injury history, you know, just, you know, how he looked at the Senior Bowl, age. I think there's a chance that he might fall. And, you know, Daniel Jeremiah is like, I don't know where Penix is going to go. You know what I mean? At the, you know, on the broadcast. So, there's something there to it, and then we might even see Spencer Rattler go before him if he checks out with his off the field stuff, because I think he had a great week. I mean, he was legit all week, and you know, everybody talks about how great his maturity was and growth that week. So there's a chance, man. You know, because he has a cannon too. He does.
You're still talking about Spencer Rattler?
Yeah.
Like talent isn't a problem. See, I mean, I don't want to. Like, I think the issues I have with Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams are essentially the same, in that Spencer Rattler was a guy who was like the #1 recruit, like, you know, forever, right? He was getting all this hype since he was like a junior or a sophomore in high school, and it kind of got to his head, and then, you know, he was at Oklahoma, and then he got his job taken by Caleb Williams, and I think Caleb Williams is kind of in that same lane, where he hasn't been humbled yet, right? I guess the crying thing was kind of humbling, but I'm a guy I'm from Southern California. I'm from Los Angeles. You know, I grew up like literally like the 10-minute walk from USC. So everybody I know is USC fans, and everybody I know, and I know people who run in like similar circles to him, and everybody like says he's just like a humongous dick. Like, he's a privileged dude. He's like kind of entitled. And then you look at how he deals with the media. He just seems like a jerk. And we all know in the NFL, it's not always about talent. Because if it was about talent, you know, Zach Wilson would be like a top 5-ish, top 7-ish quarterback, right? Like, people when he came out, people said he was Patrick Mahomes / Kyler Murray. And then maturity and his dickishness is kind of led to his downfall. And I see. and I see a similar trajectory for Caleb Williams. Like, all this talent, but you know, it's just you're a dick, and nobody's gonna like you, right? Like, nobody's gonna like you, and it's hard for guys to get up and play for a guy that you know, he's like Willie Beeman in the rain, right? You remember? Any given Sunday, and they just let guys come sack him, like we gonna show you, and then I think that could be you know, Caleb Williams' fate, and it's not about the on the field or his ability as a player. It's just about his ability as a leader, and I think that's where he's sorely lacking. What are your thoughts on that? I
think it's gonna be interesting with him with that, because, you know, one, I think Lincoln Riley quarterbacks all have that problem, right? I think he can go down the line. It's besides Jalen Hurts, who came from Alabama first, right? He wasn't really recruited there. Baker Mayfield, he had the leadership issues in Cleveland. He's got a little better now from the leadership aspect, but he needed time. He's been in the league like 6 years. He needed time to grow in the NFL, right? Kyler Murray, they made sure he don't play video games. So it really is how Lincoln Riley treats his quarterbacks. I really think he puts them in an entitled spot. I don't know how much film he puts on them to grind. They just show up and play because Caleb Williams is so talented. He literally could just show up and play college football. I'm sure he didn't have to watch any film. And you could watch him sometimes. A little bit this year, he's a little bit better with that. But when he won the Heisman, man, he was just balling. He was just playing football. He wasn't really like playing quarterback.
He's playing street ball. He's out there playing street ball. Like he's like, yo, like he's like literally like, hey, welcome to the line. Like, yo, you're gonna run to the trash can and cut. You go past the forward focus. I'm gonna throw it to you, and that's what that's how he was doing.
Exactly. Like he was even like last year, he was passing stuff up and he'll like roll out. Where's Jordan Addison? Those type of things. He kind of got more conservative a little bit this year, and you saw some growth there. That's what I really liked. But you're right. I mean, it really is leadership with him. And he's a Lincoln Riley quarterback. And the history of those quarterbacks, besides Jalen Hurts, who was with Nick Saban for 3 or 4 years first, right before he went over there, the history of Lincoln Riley quarterbacks is a little iffy. So, just how Lincoln Riley even treats. And even carries like I have this connect in Oklahoma. He told me all these crazy stories about Lincoln Riley and how he treats teams. So they're very loose over there. So that's why they never they can't beat the SEC teams when they go play them because they're so loose and those guys don't have that attention to detail. So that's the thing with Caleb, but we'll see.
Yeah. And Daniel Kim has a question for you. I know you don't got a lot of time, but he says, should we go the same route that Washington went and draft 2 QBs? It saved them for a while when Cousins panned out. Do you think that's a possibility with the Raiders, especially with all their needs?
You have Aiden O'Connell already. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's your backup. That's your 4th round guy. That's your Kirk Cousins right there. To be honest, so Aiden's gonna fight for that. He's gonna fight for that spot, man. No matter who they draft. I think that he's gonna elevate the quarterback that's there. But the quarterback that comes in might elevate him too, and I think that's something that the dynamic the Raiders have to work out because I think Aiden just has that type of personality that he just kind of is not gonna bow down to you drafting some guy, right? It doesn't matter who you draft, he's gonna come in there and try to win that job, and I like that because that means he's gonna push the rookie too. He's going to push that guy to be great. And I think that Aiden is going to keep that level. And the guy that we draft or whoever we bring in, Aiden's right there. And, however you feel about him, there were some great spots where he has some great spots and there's some times where he has some terrible spots. Right. And, that's kind of like that 4th round pick, but there's some development there. But I think the importance of him being there is going to drive that other quarterback that we have in, because if you mess up, Antonio Pierce probably has no problem going back to Aiden. So it's going to be interesting how his dynamic. I think that's the importance of him. He's going to drive anybody because you want him to stay off the field. So you better play better. You better play well, or AP's going to go back to him.
Right. I think it's going to be interesting who they target at QB in free agency.
Oh yeah, that's important. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you've talked about this, and I think a lot of people talked about the Russell Wilson possibly being available if the Broncos cut him, which it looks like they're probably going to do. I don't think he's going to come back. It sounds like, they want Russell back on a better deal, but I think at this point, I think they burned that bridge a long time ago. So I think Russell Wilson's probably going to be a free agent. And from what people have been talking about it with his contract, if he signs a deal with another team, Denver's going to be paying the rest of that deal. So he can sign a cheap deal with the team, maybe the Raiders, and then you still can attack the draft and get a QB high. But from what it sounds like, you could probably talk to this. Do you think the Raiders would draft a quarterback high if signing a quarterback like a Russell Wilson to a cheap deal?
I don't know. See, I think if you go get Russell Wilson and you sign him, I think it does give you more flexibility to trade up, because you feel better about giving up more picks knowing that you have a veteran that has a lot of winning, and he could actually lead the team while you develop a quarterback behind him. And then if he doesn't play well, you throw in the rookie, right? And I think that's what you can do if you bring in a quarterback like Russell Wilson, or even if you bring in a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. I think they give you more flexibility to trade up, because you have a steady quarterback that you can at least win with, and keep us happy, so we're not watching sloppy football, when the team is bad, you know what I mean? So you know what I mean? So having that kind of veteran quarterback like Russell Wilson, and Russ played pretty well last year. I really don't know why he got cut. I really, when you watch the film, of course he's Russell Wilson, so he's going to do the things that Russ does. He's going to run the sacks, like when you sign him, these things, right? He is what he is. Yeah, hero ball. Yeah, all those things. He is what he is. But you can win with him. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with how he looks. So, to be honest, if he came in for the Raiders, especially how this deep passing offense, I think it's perfect for him, because
fits perfect. I mean, and that's the thing, is that they were winning. They had just came off beating the Chiefs. And then, then the Broncos knifed them in the back. Like, yo, come take this less money. And then it's like, bro, way to ruin the mood, right? That's bro, you ain't never getting laid now, bro. You ain't never getting laid. It's like you screwed up the hook. So they were winning. They had one of their best streak. The team had rallied, and then they was like, okay, yeah. By the way, Russ, you just coming off being the Super Bowl champs. Go ahead and modify your contract, or we're gonna bench you for the rest of the season. Come on, bro. So it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. His film just wasn't that bad, especially when you watch it, man. There's still some great throws on there, some great plays. He's great late. So if you're playing great defense, right, and you have a defense team, you run the ball, and it's 17-14, you can count on Russ. I mean, still, even now, forever, you can count on him. You're down 17-14. He has the ball. You're going to go down and score. So I think that is still there. So if you get in the playoffs, and maybe he could pull off something, and there might be still some magic there, but if there isn't, you have a rookie behind him, and you trade up, and you can still have
as long as Malcolm Butler isn't on the field. As long as if Malcolm Butler's anywhere on the field, you do not give the ball to Russell Wilson at all. All right, just don't do it.
For real.
That's fine.
But hey, Marcus, man, we want to take too much of your time, man. We appreciate you coming through, man. A great show. We have so many questions. We didn't even get into free agency, all that good stuff. But yeah, man, appreciate you coming through. Like we said earlier in the show, hey, we're big fans. We watch your show all the time. Tape Don't Lie. If you guys don't know, make sure to subscribe to Tape Don't Lie. Obviously, you see his stuff right there. The Mark John NFL everywhere, I believe, right? Twitter at least.
Exactly.
And a little pocket awareness, man. Check him out there as well, man. So, any last thoughts that you can give to Raider Nation as far as what to look forward to as far as free agency? Because that's the next big thing that's coming up.
I think that they got to address the defensive line in free agency. I think Matabuke is out there, but he might be a little bit big money. But Raiders have the cap space. I'm not really worried about money right now with them. I mean, they have the cash, the cap space. They can get any deal done that they really want to get done. If they really want to get it done, they can do it. So, Matabuke is out there. Chris Jones is a little iffy because he was a situational player a little bit, so you got to decide how much money you really want to give him before you want to work that out. And is he, Chandler Jones had that's the kind of thing you got to mix it in with that. Is he Chandler Jones kind of thing when you work it out with him? That's just a money thing, but they got to address that. But I really believe in free agency, what they got to do, they got to address the offensive line, because there's so many interior offensive linemen that they could pick up in free agency. There's not a lot of right tackles. I feel like they're gonna have to address that in the draft, the right tackle position, and bring back Illuminor. But with guard, there's guards everywhere. There's centers. There's a lot of interior players they could pick up and bring in that the Raiders can really upgrade the offensive line.
Yeah,
so
no, I agree.
Brandon Parker is gone. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
You're telling me to not bring him back.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So I just have one quick question before you get up out of here.
Yeah.
My favorite corner in the draft is Kenyon Mitchell.
Okay.
Let's say we don't go quarterback, we don't go right tackle. Is he a guy that you feel would be a worthy pick at 13, or is that a little too high for him?
I want to see him at the combine a little bit. I want to see his actual numbers. But I think if he has a great combine and he has the speed and he runs a really fast time, I believe that he could be an option at 13. I think he dominated the Senior Bowl. Really nobody really beat him there. He really felt like he really didn't belong there. But he stayed the whole week. But he really made a name for himself there. I thought when he went there, it kind of solidified that he's probably one of the best corners in this draft. Definitely a top 5 corner in this draft. A lot of people like Terrion Arnold a little bit better than him because of the ball skills. But Quinton Mitchell, he's a stud, man. He had like 2 interceptions and 1-on-1s. Yeah, man, he really did solidify himself. But I think the combine, if he has those great numbers there, he can really be an option at 13. But I think right now he's still fringe first, second round.
Yeah, and I agree with you as far as the Raiders being active in free agency, especially if they're going to be aggressive in trading up. They're going to be trading up all their draft picks to get their QB, meaning that they're going to try to win now. So they better be active in free agency, getting the O linemen and all that type of stuff. But hey, Marcus, I appreciate you coming on. Shout out to BD, man. Hey, hopefully all is well with him, man.
Yeah,
BD, man. Hey, man. And shout out to Matt Holder, man. He's been holding it down. Everybody with
man,
Tape Don't Lie as well.
Sure.
But what I don't know. What is BD? How does BD feel about the Raiders, man?
Yeah, I still talk to BD, man. He just being a family man. It does take a lot of time what we do, man, to kind of the film stuff, and it does take some time, right?
No,
So
I bet.
Hey,
I bet.
man. Know what's funny is that I used to always read you guys' stuff, right?
Yeah.
But like I didn't know, I know y'all was black, man. To be real, I was like, I saw Tape Don't Lie. I was like, BD Williams, that sounds like the dude whose article I be reading. Is this the same dude? And I was like, these dudes is black. Oh, that's crazy.
Man.
So I was like,
They know their stuff,
wild,
man. But hey, man. Hey, Marcus, appreciate you coming on, man. Hopefully we can have you on again, man.
Oh yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. It was fun, man. Really a good time. I really even lost track of time. So it's dope.
Yeah, I was looking at the time, man. I was like, hey, man, we don't want to have him too long because I know you got to study that tape, man. You got to study that tape, man. We need you to study that tape. All right, bro. Peace.
All right, man.
Peace, man. Peace, guys.
Appreciate it.
Man. Marcus, man. Tape Don't Lie, man. That was a great show. We try to get as much questions out for Raider Nation, man. Man, this guy is the guy that we definitely respect out here, doing that Raider content, man. And we appreciate everybody coming through, man. And the chat is going wild, man. I'm trying to keep track and also trying to keep the conversation going as well, man.
Yeah.
But hey, Cool Kev is cracking jokes. It's all jokes. Like, people don't know the Cool Kev, man. He's joking around, man. Don't take him too serious.
Yeah.
But man, we appreciate everybody coming through, man. You want to actually let's get into some of the topics here. Let's see if you want to. Let me pull this up real quick. And if you haven't, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit that notification bell. We're going live on both our channels. As you can see, PharoahNFL, and then obviously The Severe Raider. Make sure to subscribe. My mods, if you can post the links. Let me go ahead and post this real quick. And you want to get into flag on the play?
Personal foul. 69. Offense. He was giving them the business.
Man. It's Severe's favorite segment of the day, man. He flag on the play, man. And one of the biggest flag on the play was we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. The Athletic did they took a poll with NFL executives, and they gave them first, second, third place votes for the head coaching candidates that got hired. And AP didn't get any votes. He did not get any votes. And let me put the visual on up here so y'all can take a look. And I'm going to call it, man. That's a flag on the play, man. We got to call it, man. I know we're Raider fans, but at the end of the day, man, there's no reason why AP shouldn't be getting this much hate. And I'm going to post this real quick. Y'all can see this in a second.
We already know why, man. You know, the Raiders are never. He ain't even on the screen right now. He got to go all the way down to the. He ain't even on the screen. So it's one of those situations where, man, it's rough, man, because like he's a guy that like it was crazy that if we didn't hire AP, like heads all over the league would have exploded. Like, how could you not hire this guy? He's the obvious the guy for the job. Now that we hired him, it's like, man, that is not that great of a hire. It's like, come on now.
Right.
Like Raheem Morris over him, I don't see it.
Well, Raheem Morris has been around for a while, and so there's a little bit of respect around the league for him. So I understand. I'm not trying to say that these guys don't deserve any votes. I'm saying like AP gets zero, nothing, no love. You know what I mean? This is just fuel for Antonio Pierce, man. Ultimate underdog. Obviously, he was undrafted as a player. This is going to add to him to ball out as a head coach next year. So hopefully. He does that, man. So yeah, definitely flag on the play, and you got a special flag on the play as well. And if you want to give the intro,
I do. Yeah, man. In the lead up to the Super Bowl, we had a live. It was a good live, man. If you guys haven't checked that one out, check it out. But I said personally, I was going for the Chiefs to win that game, and I said because we would have an opportunity to avenge that victory on our field the next season, and I was shouted down. But a very prominent person in the Raider organization, they seem to agree with me.
These teams, to be honest, I respect them, but at the end of the day, I want Kansas City to win. Because I want us to be the ones that take them down. I don't want anybody else to do it. So that's kind of my approach on it. I don't root for anybody. I hate all the teams equally. I'm a Raider to the core. I don't care about.
Well, I'll be Max Crosby. I'm throwing flags on all you. You will be playing basketball in Pelican Bay.
Hey, you know what? To be fair though. I think it's a weird situation, man, as a football fan, to watch two teams that you hate play in the Super Bowl. And if you've seen Max Crosby's reaction when like the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, he wasn't jumping it. He was just staring it with a blank face, just like everybody else that's a Raider fan or play for the Raiders. They were just staring at it like, man, like we hate this team. But I think it's just him as a competitor, to be fair. But I can understand it's a flag on play because you don't want to hear anything about a Raider player saying that he wants the Chiefs to win anything. But I get it. Exactly. But yeah, let's move along, man. We got notable quotables. Let's get into notable quotables, man. Hey, if y'all need to check out that Antonio Pierce and AP interview, man. It was pretty solid, man, and they said a whole lot, and there was a few things that AP said, and this one should catch your eye, and I'm sure.
And I ain't gonna lie, I walked away from something that I was building. I had a quarterback there that I recruited, Jayden Daniels. Had a corner there in Jack Jones, receiver in Aiyuk, Rashad White, and a bunch of other NFL type players, and they came there because they trusted me. And it hurt me to walk away from it, to move on. I had plenty of opportunities to go to the National Football League since 2016. I just chose not to do it. I did tell.
So I thought it was interesting that he was name dropping again. Remember, we were laughing earlier about AP name dropping, and this is what we're talking about. This is another example of AP name dropping Jayden Daniels, Brandon Aiyuk, and we'll talk about that in a second, and then. Obviously Jack Jones, who's obviously a Raider. So he might be trying to get the team back together, man.
Trying to get the band back together.
Exactly. So, man, it's something to keep an eye on, man. But man, AP, man, can't help himself, man. And I think do you think him kind of like name dropping like this, do you think that it hurts the Raiders when trying to maybe make these deals happen because now teams kind of know that, all right, this is the guy that they really want?
I think it has an effect. I don't think it has as much of an effect as one might assume, but I think it does definitely have an effect. Anytime a team knows, kind of what your intention is, like the teams are using every bit of information they can get. They're doing whatever they can to find out, what their opposition is going to do. Whether it's that, they're playing in free agency, what kind of contracts they're going to sign their guys to, where they're going to go out there in a draft, all of that stuff. So I think it has an effect, but I don't think it has like an outsized effect. I don't think it goes from like, if we're able to get a guy from like for a 4th round pick, then I could, now we want a 2nd. Like, I don't think it's anything like that. I think, but I think it definitely does have an impact.
Yeah, no, facts, 100%, man. I think if we keep talking about it, teams are gonna, because the whole point is for teams to try to like figure out what other teams want as well. Like, I think that's part of them strategizing the offseason is like, hey, look, what are teams going to be drafting ahead of them? What players are they going to target? Because they got to be able to like know who they're going to get and try to maybe outmaneuver them. Like, if the Raiders are going to try to trade up, there might be another team that likes the same player and they might trade up ahead of them or try to provide a better deal. So
Mike McGlinchey, right?
Man, like, you're doing a lot of talking, man. I love the confidence, bro. But it's just, come on, just don't tell nobody, man. Just keep it to yourself, man. Just keep it to yourself.
Keep it on the hush.
But hey, another notable quotable, if you want to give an intro to this clip that I'm about to play.
So, Luke Getsy was doing, I think it was a Zoom. He was on a Zoom call with some of the press, and one of the things he was asked about is kind of what he, kind of his criteria for a quarterback, and he had a very, very interesting answer.
In this game, I think it's really important that you have some type of escapability. Doesn't mean you have to be as dynamic as Justin was, but I think you have to have escapability. You got to be able to have the second chance and create the extended play, whether it's just slide in the pocket or whether it's extending it with your feet outside the pocket. So all those things are really important. You guys, it was on display in the Super Bowl, as we just saw here in Vegas the other day. Like, that ability of both of those guys to create the second chance of the play is an important part in our league. And when you're trying to go win games, you got to be good on 3rd down in the red zone. And when you're good at those two things, it's usually because your quarterback has some kind of cool dynamic to be able to spit the ball around. Which we were pretty good at that thing the last 2 years.
So that was interesting. I mean, he pretty much said what type of quarterback he likes. And,
yeah, man. And
it ain't AOC. It ain't him.
AOC, man. And ironically, man, a little bit after this aired, we actually have sound of Aiden O'Connell's reaction to these clips, man, and it was very interesting.
No, we have a live look. A live look at AOC.
Oh, we got a live look. Okay.
Yeah, a live look at AOC's reaction to this soundbite. Oh man, hold up. Let me see.
Does anyone else have a love story?
Yes, I do. And just like your love stories, it's tragic and filled with hurt feelings and scars that will never heal. It started appropriately.
Oh, this is the whole clip. This is the whole clip? Oh,
yes,
man, this is the whole clip. Oh, man. Let's see if we can get a better.
You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now, you can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half.
Hey, say you a 90s kid without saying you a 90s kid, man.
Man, that's AOC right there, man, reacting. That's Luke Getsy with the
man. AOC for sure is not gonna be. You know what? And the thing is, look, at the end of the day, like, it's not no shot at AOC. It's just at the end of the day, like, that's the reality. Like, you got to be able to use your legs in today's NFL. Like, you don't have to be super athletic. You just got to know when to use your legs, and that's something that he has to work on. I'm not sure if he's ever gonna have. So it is what it is. But man, and let's get into the chat, man, because we didn't get a chance to actually let people speak their mind during the show, man. Hey, man, it's cool, Kev, man. He hold up, let me make this bigger real quick. He says Aiyuk must go as soon as possible. Damn,
man,
like
as soon as possible.
That's crazy, bro.
Man.
And he's a free agent. So there is a possibility that he doesn't come back, but like I like Aiyuk as a fourth corner, third or fourth corner. Like I don't have no problem with him. If he's your starting corner, then I'm like I'm not sure. But yeah, hey, shout out to B-Lo, man. He says hit and sub. We ain't enemies, got mad love. I mean, I grew up a Bo Jackson. How can I love? Hey man, appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you.
We got to give you applause for that, man. You know what I mean? He's not a Raider fan, but he's over here trying to support Raider Nation, man. I know he's going through it with his quarterback out there.
Man, look, I'm not even gonna comment, man. I'm just not even gonna comment, man. But in terms of Aiyuk, man, I think he's a guy that'll stick around. I think he has the kind of attitude that I think AP is going to love in a player, man. Aiyuk is like, whatever you think about him on the field, Aiyuk is a dog. And Aiyuk wants it as much or more than anybody, on the team outside of Max Crosby, man. So I think the AP is going to like that. I think he's good in the locker room. And as a fourth corner, he's a guy I wouldn't mind, man. And spot duty, he filled in admirably, man. So we know he's a guy that understands the defense, can come in and make some plays. So I don't see any reason why, not to keep him unless he prices himself out.
Raider Allegiance just want to let everybody know. Shout out to all the homies in Pelican Bay perfecting their jump shot.
I'm severe Raider. King Kong ain't got on me.
Man, that's funny, man. But yeah, man. Hey, man, it's been a great show. We are able to talk about pretty much everything, man. We were trying to see if we could hit up some topics, and we hit the notable quotables, flag on a play. This is what you get when you watch the 50-50 show every Monday evening. We were a little bit late today, but we appreciate everybody's patience. Man, we had a great guest today. Hopefully we have more to come. Marcus came through, and you guys can see, man, that God knows his stuff. And we'll have more guests like Marcus, and we'll have more conversations. Hey, football is like 24/7 all year long. There's going to be more to talk about. We're going to get into probably the next show. We're probably going to get into free agency because it's pretty much around the corner. We know that I don't know if you heard about this, that they're probably going to add $8 million to the cap. So that's going to be more money for the Raiders to work with. And shout out, hey man, shout out. You know what? I'm gonna give a special shout out, man.
You're wrong for this, man.
Man, shout out to Jimmy G, man.
You're wrong for that, man.
Shout out to Jimmy G, man. Hey, man. We thought the Raiders were gonna be on the hook for all of that money, that contract, and he was. I don't know, man. To me, there might be more to it, the story, than what, because it's too big of a coincidence that he took some, I don't know, whatever he took. And now his contract is voided, and now the Raiders are not gonna, they still owe him some money next year, but not the majority of money. I think they free up like $11 million. Let me actually pull up the tweet here about the details of Jimmy G. Because I want to touch on that. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. Spot Track actually was able to talk about that. Let me share this on the screen. So Jimmy G entered 2024 with a fully guaranteed $11.25 million salary and $11.25 million roster bonus due on March 17th. His 2-game suspension, PED, almost certainly voids these guarantees, allowing the Raiders to release him with just $17 million dead cap hit, freeing up $10 million in 2024. Bro, man. Hey, man. You know what? Thank you, Jimmy G. It was nice knowing you.
Yeah, man.
But I think that it was a blessing for the Raiders. In my opinion, like it's crazy because they're gonna probably have to figure out that contract. Like we're kind of figuring out, is Jimmy G gonna stay on the roster? Is he gonna be a June 1st cut? But the Raiders found out, and I don't know, man. There's more to it than me see. I don't know. I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist sometimes, man. But because it was too big of a coincidence. How do you just take something to void your contract? Like, what were you, thinking?
And the fact that he didn't even appeal it at all, right? Even if you know you're gonna lose, you still appeal it. you still fight it, and you make them say, you know what, we upholding this suspension. He didn't even fight it, man. So that is just, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hey, man, shout out to, I appreciate that. Save Belair says, excellent work, fellas. The three of you are the class of YouTube presenters. No arrogance, no self-promotion for why we should listen. You perform and people choose, man. Hey, appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you coming through.
Appreciate that, man.
Hey, man, we're gonna be here every Monday evenings, man. So make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when we go live. We're gonna have more guests, more stuff to talk about. You know, hey, if you're a Raider fan, you know this doesn't stop, man. It's all year long. So there's gonna be plenty of news, free agency. I just mentioned that they're gonna add $8 million. I think I have that right here. That's what they're reporting is, and I can put it on the screen for everybody to see right now. Is the NFL reportedly raised the salary cap $8 million for each team. This is big for many teams. This now will make the cap $250 million. So that's another $8 million for the Raiders to negotiate with some free agents. Everybody's talking about being aggressive in the draft. If they're going to be aggressive in the draft and get all these and get that quarterback, that means there's going to be draft picks that they're going to have to give up, and those are going to be young players, obviously, that they can't draft. But now they're going to have to use free agency to fill those holes and those needs. So, hey, at the end of the day, man, hey, we'll take it. We'll take the $8 million, man. I'll take it.
Exactly.
If the Raiders are offering me $8 million, I'll take it. I'm telling you right now. I'll take it. I'll take it right now.
He was a fool, man.
I'm just being honest, man. I know everybody else would take it. But sure,
like Mark Davis, if you're listening.
Mark Davis, man, for sure. If you're listening, I'll take the $8 million. I'll be there tomorrow. But yeah, man, hey, we appreciate everybody coming through. It's been a great show. Any last thoughts, man? Any last thoughts before we end the show?
Yeah, man. I know we talked about trading up for quarterbacks. We talked about the cost. We talked about three first round draft picks, and is that worth it moving up for a quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
We wasted 3 first-round draft picks in 2019, man. So if it means we get our quarterback of the future, I'm all for it.
Yeah, man. And look, like it's going to be a whole offseason. Free agency's coming up. And also another thing, too, I think starting Tuesday until March 5th, the Raiders can franchise, or teams could franchise or tag their players. Obviously, a player that they recently franchised is Josh Jacobs. We didn't get a chance to talk about him. I don't think they're going to franchise him. I think they're probably going to let him hit the market and see and try to negotiate from there. But we'll have plenty to talk about. We'll talk about that on our the next time we go live, man. But we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure, hey, don't forget, man. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit that notification bell. So you'll be notified when we go live. And also, I apologize. We didn't get to every comment in the message. We didn't get to everybody's comment. Make sure to leave a comment down below. After the show, just, make sure to leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts. Who the Raiders should go after at QB, free agency, anything. What you think about the staff hires. I mean, there are some guys that you kind of are intrigued by and be like, okay, that was a solid hire. There's some guys you kind of have mixed feelings. Let us know in the chat. And we didn't even get into Brandon Aiyuk too as well. Like, hey, that's a big rumor. You know what I mean? But we'll probably get into that in a future show. But man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Until next time, peace.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Believe that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.